Hi and welcome to the Crochet Circle. My name is Alex and in today's video I want to show you how to crochet a letter K. As you know from before, I'm just first gonna sketch it out just for you to see how it's gonna be done. So roughly, I'm just gonna move my crochet hook a bit. Letter K will be something like this. I'm gonna start here at the bottom left back side, and then as you can see part 1 will be bottom left side to the top right side. So this is gonna be part 1, this is gonna be part 2 and part 3. As you can see, part 3 is just gonna be 8 single crochets up to row number 30, and I'm gonna start with a chain of 8 as the base for all the letters. I think I can get started because it's only done in 3 parts, and here's like half of it, and then you just duplicate what you did on the bottom for the top side. Here's the diagram on how it's done. I still have some of my scrap yarn that I'm using for this set of tutorials, and as I already said, I'm gonna begin with chain of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna do chain 1 just to go up into the next row. And now I need 13 rows of 8 single crochets in one row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I have something blue on my finger. Must have been the pen that left few marks on me. So I need 13 rows of just 8 single crochets. So 1 is done. Now I'm up to row number 2. Row number 3. Row number 4. To be honest, I'm not even counting the rows. If you have a row counter, you can definitely click away, but I'm just gonna do a few more rows and then I'm gonna count them, and hopefully I won't be I won't have to undo rows. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. I still have 8 single crochets in a row. And I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need 3 more rows of just 8 single crochets. So this is row number 11. Row number 12. And row number 13. I'm just gonna double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now what I have to do is I have to extend here. So that just means I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chains. I'm gonna do one more chain just to go up into the next row, and next row is just gonna be 16 single crochets. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in those chain 8 that I've done, and 8 more in the solid part of the letter K. 8 and 8 is 16. Now row number 15 is gonna be single crochets till the last stitch. The last stitch is gonna be a decrease. I am gonna show you how to make a decrease. So a decrease is, if I would be knitting, I would say knit 2 together, but in crocheting I do a bit different than with amigurumi when you're doing it in round circles. Here, when I do a decrease from the first stitch, I only take the front loop, and from the second stitch I go through both loops and then just join it all together. Now I'm in row number 16. Now here the first stitch is actually gonna be an increase. As you can see, this is this part here where you kind of first do an increase and then do an increase, because I want just a bit of definition in there. And now till the end I need to do just single crochets. And I'm up to 16 stitches again. Now in the next row I'm just gonna do 16 single crochets, As you can see, I'm already in the second half of part 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Just a bit of a dent in to do it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do chain 1 like always to go into the next row, and now I have to do 5 rows of increase on the outer side and a decrease on the inner side, and in between I have to do 5 single crochets. So that's an increase, just 2 single crochets in the same stitch, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. For a decrease of the first stitch, I just take the front loop, and on the second stitch I go through both loops and decrease is done. Now I need 4 more rows like this, so because this is now the inner part, I'm gonna do first a decrease, 5 single crochets, and the last stitch is an increase. Now that's 2 rows done, I need 3 more like this. So because it's the outer side, the first stitch is gonna be an increase, 5 single crochets, and a decrease. That's row number 3, or like that, done. Now I'm on row number 4. First a decrease, single crochets, one, two, three, four, 5, and the last stitch is an increase, and the last row like this is an increase in the beginning, 5 single crochets, and a decrease at the end. I'm always keeping the count of 8 stitches in a row. Now what I have to do is I have to do 4 times a row of just single crochets and a row of decrease and increase at the beginning or at the end. So first it's gonna be 8 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now the next row is gonna be an increase, 5 single crochets, that's 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. And these 2 rows I have to repeat 4 times, so I already did it once. Now I'm going into the second round of it. And the first stage is gonna be an increase, 5 single crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. Now I'm in the third round of it, so 8 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now an increase, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. Now I'm in the fourth round of it, so 8 single crochets, now I need to do an increase, 5 single crochets, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and another decrease. That was row number 29 done, so all I have to do now is just 8 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. Now the first part of letter K is done. What I have to do now is do the bottom and the top left corner. It doesn't matter if you're gonna do part 2 or part 3 first, so I'm gonna just start with part 3, and to be honest, it doesn't matter if you start in the first available stitch or in the last available stitch. I'm just gonna go into the end of the row and I'm gonna start there because it's gonna be much easier for me to work in the loose tail of the beginning. So 8 single crochets it should be. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I need 12 more rows like this, so that was 1 done. Altogether there are 13 rows of just 8 single crochets, like in the beginning of part 1. It's kind of a mirror image of the bottom, and I then think you also know what comes for part 2 to be done. To be honest, I don't know why I have been putting it down for such a long time with this letter K, because now it looks like it's quite simple, much simpler than some of the curvy letters. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 7 more rows to do. I'm just gonna double check if I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I still have 8 stitches in one row. Now I'm just gonna check how many I've already done. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I need just 2 more rows of 8 single crochets. Now that's row number 12 and the last row. Chain 1 and I can cut the yarn. So this is how much of the letter K is done. Now all I need is the bottom right part. Again, to be honest, it doesn't matter where you begin, either from the left or from the right. What you have to know is on the outside you are doing increases, on the inner side you're doing the decreases. So this is the outer side, it's gonna be an increase. I've done a slip stitch, a chain 1, and now I'm just gonna do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. That's 1, 2. Now I need 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last stitch is actually a decrease. So what I usually do is I use my second crochet hook and I go into the second stitch with my second hook, because it can be done also with just one, but sometimes I do have trouble, so I just get a second hook and try pulling it through. So this is gonna be now a decrease. As I did on the top part, first I need 4 rows of this, like increases and decreases, and then I'm gonna do 4 rounds of a normal single crochet row and an increase decrease row. So now here the first stitch is gonna be a decrease, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. Now an increase, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease stitch. Now that's 3 rows. I need just one more row like this, a decrease at the inner side, 5 single crochets, and an increase. So I have these 4 rows of increases. Now I need 4 times of just single crochets and then increase decrease. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and now the first stitch is gonna be a decrease, 5 single crochets, 1 2 3 4 5, and then the last stitch is an increase. Now that's section 1 done. I need 3 more sections, yeah, 3 more clusters like that. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase at the end. Now again just 8 single crochets, now the first stitch is a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. Now again 8 single crochets, and the first stitch is a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase, and I'm already by the last row, and the last row is just 8 single crochets. That's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. Chain 1, and I can cut the yarn, pull it through, and the first letter K is done. Now I need to do a second one because I'm gonna then join them together. Now I'm gonna begin again with the chain of 8, one more chain just to go up into the next row, and in the second chain from the hook I'm gonna start with the 8 single crochets. And 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and the last one is number 8, and I need 13 rows like this, so 12 more to go. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. Just 2 more rows to go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now I'm at the part where I have to extend it, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm gonna do single crochets and a decrease at the end. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I need 6 single crochets more, and then it's gonna be a decrease. Now the last stitch is a decrease. And now in the next row, the first stitch is gonna be an increase. And I'm back to 16 stitches. Now the next row is just 16 single crochets. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and the last one 16. Now I'm in this part again, 4 rows of increases on the outside and decreases on the inner side, and 5 single crochets in between. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. A decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. An increase, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. Now this is going to be the last row like this, so it's a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. Now it's the next part where it's gonna be made out of one row of just 8 single crochets and one row of increase decreases, and I have to repeat that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now the first stitch is a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. I have to repeat those 2 rows 3 more times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now a decrease, five single crochets and an increase. Now that's 2 done. I need just 2 more. One, two, three, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So just one more time of 8 single crochets and an increase decrease. Now the first one is a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase at the end. And now for the last row, just 8 single crochets. Chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. Now I'm gonna do part 2 actually, because with the previous letter I've done part 3 before part 2, but now I'm gonna do part 2 first, and I'm gonna start from the other side, so it's gonna be a slip stitch, chain 1, and now first stitch is a decrease. Again, I'm just gonna use my second crochet hook and go into the next stitch. And now pull it through all the loops. So that's 1. Now I need 5 more single crochets, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work the starting tail in. So now I need 5 single crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last stitch is an increase. Now I showed you the both ways, so once I started from the outer side and here I started from the inner side. Now the first stitch is now an increase, 5 single crochets and a decrease. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a decrease. Now I need 2 more rows like this, so the first stitch is a decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. Now an increase, 5 single crochets, and a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3 rows like this done. Now this is the last one. A decrease, 5 single crochets, and an increase. Now I need 4 times of just 8 single crochets and an increase decrease row. Now I lost my count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's a normal one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mixed up something, so I'm just gonna go back a bit. I was already with my mind on how I'll be joining these 2 letters, to be honest. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. Now this is gonna be an increase at the beginning, 5 single crochets, and a decrease. Now just 8 single crochets, So an increase, 5 single crochets, and a decrease. One, two, again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I need one more round of that, so that means 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now the first one is gonna be an increase, 5 single crochets, and a decrease at the end. And now the last row is just 8 single crochets. Chain 1. Now this is part number 2 done. Now to part number 3. Just 8 single crochets for 13 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 12 more rows like this. I'm just gonna count how many rows I've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need 4 more rows. Now that's row number 10. Eleven. 12 and the last row. Chain 1 and I can cut the yarn. So these are my two letters K. This is the top, and let's just say this is gonna be the bottom K, so I need to get all the loose ends on the top side of the letter K, and this one is gonna be the top, so all the loose ends need to go to the back side. I'm actually not gonna sew in all the loose ends here, because I'm just gonna pay more attention while I'm gonna be crocheting these two letters together. I'm actually not gonna use this. I'm gonna use, hopefully this will be enough of the yarn. So I'm gonna start on the top left corner in the second stitch from the end, and I'm gonna go in with my crochet hook. I'm gonna do a slip stitch, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch. Now I'm in the corner stitch. That means I'm gonna do a single crochet, chain 1 and another single crochet in the same stitch, just to nicely turn the corner around. Now all I have to do is single crochets all the way down to the other corner. Now I'm at my corner stitch. I'm gonna be turning the corner, that means chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch. In the corner, I have to turn the corner, so chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch. And and now just single crochets till the next corner. The next corner is gonna be an inner corner, and in inner corners I do a slip stitch. One more stitch, and now I'm at the corner stitch, so I'm gonna do a slip stitch in, and now continue with single crochets in each row. Now I'm at the corner stitch, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch, and now just single crochets till the next corner. Again a corner, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch, just to turn it around. Now you remember, here's the row where I did an increase and a decrease, so I'm gonna do a slip stitch in that stitch in, and then just continue with single crochets up, but first I want to get rid of all the loose ends. And fill the letter K up a bit. Now I'm at the corner stitch, single crochet, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch. Now again in the corner stitch, single crochet, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch just to turn the corner. Few more stitches and then I'm gonna fill this part up again. Now I can continue with joining. Now this is again gonna be an inner angle, so there I'm gonna do just a slip stitch, but until I get to there I'm gonna be doing single crochets. Now a single slip stitch, and I can continue with single crochets back up, I think that's enough stuffing, so I'm gonna close up the letter K. Again, corner stitch, that means single crochet, chain 1 and a single crochet in the same stitch. And now I have to do just single crochets until I get back to the beginning. cut the yarn, pull the yarn through because I'm gonna do an invisible join. I'm not gonna go into the first stitch, I'm gonna go into the second one because I'm overlaying the first stitch. You can see the letter K, how it looks. Now all I'm gonna do is just get the starting yarn and the end tail to one side, make a knot, pull the knot back a bit, and then it disappears into the letter. I always hate pulling things like this because usually I pull some stuffing with me as well. Okay, now I can cut the loose ends and crochet a letter K is done. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next time I'm gonna say happy crafting!